Your net worth will never grow faster than after you hit $100,000. And Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man and a billionaire who built wealth from scratch, said this milestone changes everything. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about saving that first $100,000. It's about how explosively your wealth compounds once you cross that threshold. I didn't believe it either until I applied Munger's exact strategy. My portfolio went from $100K to over $2 million before I turned 30. Not because I got lucky, but because I understood what Munger called the hardest $100,000 you'll ever make. Once you crack the code on why it's so hard and why everything after gets exponentially easier, I guarantee you'll never look at money the same way. I've spent years studying every Munger interview, every shareholder letter, every public statement. In this video, I'm breaking down his most powerful wealth-building principles, the ones that actually moved the needle for me. Stick with me to the end, because the last principle is the one most people ignore, and it's the difference between staying stuck and watching your net worth explode. Let's dive in. Most advice from billionaires sound good on a motivational poster, but does absolutely nothing for your bank account. But with Charlie Munger, it's different. The man doesn't do vague platitudes. He gives you the brutal, actionable truth. This is one of my favorite Charlie Munger stories. At a Berkshire Hathaway meeting in the 90s, a young investor stood up, frustrated. "I'm doing everything right, but my net worth is barely moving. What am I missing?" Munger didn't sugarcoat it. He leaned into the mic and said, "The first $100,000 is a but you gotta do it." The room went silent. Then he doubled down. "I don't care what you have to do. Walk everywhere, live on coupon food, sleep on a friend's couch. Get your hands on $100,000. After that, you can ease off the gas." Harsh? Maybe. But here's why Munger is right. That first $100,000 is the hardest money you'll ever make. Your second $100,000? Easier. 500,000? Even easier. Your first $1,000,000? It'll feel like it happens on autopilot compared to that brutal first $100,000. And the reason has everything to do with two words that will either make you rich or keep you broke. Compound interest. Compound interest is the closest thing to financial magic that exists. But here's the problem. The textbook definition makes it sound boring. Interest calculated on both principal and accumulated interest from previous periods. Great. You're already asleep. Forget that. Here's what compound interest actually is. Imagine you're at the top of a snow-covered mountain. You pack a snowball the size of a baseball. That's your first $100,000. Now you give it one push down the hill. As it rolls, it picks up more snow. A little at first, and then more. Then exponentially more. By the time it reaches the bottom, that baseball-sized snowball is now the size of a house. And here's the kicker. You didn't pack any of that extra snow. You made one snowball. Gave it a push, and time and momentum did the rest. That's your wealth after $100,000. You do the brutal work once, scraping together that first $100,000. Then compound interest takes over and does the heavy lifting for you. The snowball doesn't care if you're sleeping, working, or on vacation. It just keeps growing. And the bigger it gets, the faster it grows. Let me show you exactly how powerful this is with a fictional example. Imagine two guys sitting in that Berkshire meeting, John and Steve, both 20 years old, both have decent jobs, both heard Munger's advice. John gets it. Something clicks. He locks in, cutting expenses, picking up side work, living like he's broke even though he's not. He hits $100,000 by age 25. Steve? He shrugs it off, thinks Munger is being dramatic, lives normally, saves casually. He doesn't hit $100,000 until he's 35, a full decade behind John. Now here's where it gets wild. Let's say both of them stop investing completely after hitting $100K. They don't add another single dollar. They just let it sit in index funds, earning the market's historical average of 10% per year. Fast forward to age 70. Steve opens his account. $2.8 million. Not bad, right? He's a multimillionaire without lifting a finger for 35 years. But John? He's sitting at $7.3 million. Nearly 3 times what Steve has. That 10-year head start, those 5 extra years of sacrifice in his 20s, handed him an extra $4.5 million. Read that again. $4.5 million more. Same contributions, same returns. The only difference? He started the snowball rolling 10 years earlier. This is what Munger meant by ease off the gas. Once you hit 100K, compound interest becomes your employee. It works 24/7, never takes a day off, never asks for a raise. At $100,000, your snowball is finally big enough that every roll down the hill picks up massive amounts of snow. The hard part is over. So how do you actually get to $100,000 as fast as possible? The wealth building equation is brutally simple. Income minus expenses equals savings. That's it. You are a business. Your income is revenue. Your expenses are costs. Your savings? That's your profit. And just like any successful business, your only job is to maximize profit. The bigger your profit margin, the faster you build that snowball. So you have 2 levers to pull. Earn more or spend less. Most people obsess over one and ignore the other. That's a mistake. You need both. First, let's talk about maximizing income. One of Munger's most powerful lessons is this: sell your time back to yourself. When Munger was a young lawyer, he noticed something. His law firm built him out to clients at $400 an hour in today's dollars. But Charlie wasn't seeing anywhere near $400 an hour in his paycheck. The firm took a massive cut. That's when it clicked. His time was worth $400 an hour to someone else. So why wasn't he capturing that value for himself? He made a decision. Every morning before work and every evening after, he worked for his most important client, himself. He studied investing. He worked on real estate deals. He built assets that would pay him directly instead of making someone else rich. This concept is how you accelerate towards that $100,000 milestone. You find ways to monetize your existing skills outside your day job. And here's the key. You keep your living expenses covered by your primary income. Everything you earn from your side work, straight into investments. If you're a teacher, tutor on weekends. Software engineer, freelance projects at night. Good with video editing? Reach out to creators who need help. Skilled at writing, design, accounting, consulting? You guessed it, there's a market for it. No, the goal isn't to burn yourself out forever. Instead, it's to sprint hard now while compound interest is working against you, so you can coast later when it's working for you. Work hard now so your money can do the heavy lifting for you later. Now let's talk about the other side of the equation, minimizing expenses. When someone asked Munger for the secret to a successful life, he rattled off 5 or 7 principles. Near the top of that list, underspend your income. His business partner Warren Buffett took this to an extreme. The man is worth over $100 billion and still drives a car he bought in 2014. His idea of a splurge meal? Restaurants with Olive Garden pricing. Not because he's cheap, but because he understands something most people don't. It doesn't matter what you earn. It matters what you keep. Think about this for a second. Someone making $250,000 a year who spends $240,000 saves $10,000. Someone making $60,000 who spends $40,000 saves $20,000. The $60,000 earner is building wealth twice as fast, despite earning 75% less. Why? Because they're winning the expense game. This is the trap most people fall into. Lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, so you upgrade your apartment. You get a bonus, so you finance a nicer car. You get promoted, so suddenly your clothes need to come from nicer stores. Your income climbs, but your savings stay flat. Or worse, shrink, because your spending climbs even faster. Let me show you the actual numbers on why lifestyle inflation destroys wealth. We're going back to John and Steve. Steve graduates college and lands a $65,000 job. He's ambitious, works hard, crushes it at work. He averages 8% raises every single year. His first year, he spends $60,000 and saves $5,000. But here's where it goes wrong. Every year his income goes up 8%, his spending also goes up 8%. New apartment, better car, nicer vacations. After 10 years, Steve is making $130,000, more than double his starting salary. But he's still only saving about $10,000 a year. Over the entire decade, he's accumulated $72,000. Not bad, but now let's compare that to John. Same starting salary, same 8% annual raises, same income growth. The only difference? John keeps his expense growth at 2% per year. He resists the new car. He stays in a reasonable apartment. He doesn't need the designer wardrobe. After 10 years, how much more do you think John saved? Maybe $50,000 more, $100,000? Try $285,000. Nearly 4 times what Steve saved. Same income, same job performance. The only variable was spending discipline. Steve let his lifestyle expand with his paycheck. John continuously underspent his income, exactly what Munger prescribed. And that difference? It's the difference between still grinding towards $100K at age 32 versus already being at $285,000 and watching compound interest take over. If you're watching this video, you're already ahead of most people. You're motivated. You're learning. Don't stop here. I've got another video on your screen right now that's going to take your wealth building journey even further. Click it and keep the momentum going. I will see you over there.